In this video, we're going to be looking at the millennial learner in the classroom. And although this topic on its own could make up a whole course, this video provides basic insight and a few suggestions for teaching millennials. Now, strategies used years ago are not effective in today's classrooms. Teachers need a new understanding of these millennial learners to be able to address the learning skills in their classroom. Teachers have many responsibilities in the classroom, but there are two main ones that we're going to have a look at. They are responsible for the academics in the classroom, and they are responsible for the connection or the relationship that they have with each learner. And when we talk about academics, it will be in reference of what you are teaching, how you are teaching, and the structure of your lessons. And when we talk about a connection, we are referring to the personal relationship that you have with the learner and the emotional support that you provide. Now, when you are planning what you're going to teach, the most important thing to remember is relevance. Millennials want to know why they have to learn this, why they need to make a connection between what they are learning and the application to the real world. So where, as far as possible, try and provide this rationale or the reasons as to why the class is exploring this topic, why it is important to learn these skills. And then this will help you to get the attention of your learners before you begin. When it comes to how you are teaching, there's a need for teachers to make some changes to the way that learners approach learning. Millennials have been brought up with technology. Learners are not engaging nowadays with the textbook, but rather with the internet, where they can find the exact same information. So instead of reading from a textbook, allow learners to work in small groups and let them do research-based learning. Millennials will also enjoy working more collaboratively in small groups, opposed to working individually or by themselves. So think learner participation. Make these millennial learners active in their own learning process, and you're more likely to get a class engaging in your lesson. A traditional classroom might look something like this, with the majority of the lesson time being spent on teaching, where the teacher normally stands in front of the class and does all the talking or reading from a textbook, followed by an activity or a worksheet used to reinforce what was taught. And this lesson style is boring for millennial learners who are used to interactive, quick, responsive technology. Teachers need to think about how they structure their lessons. So below are a few variations to the traditional teaching style. The teacher time is spent possibly to introduce a topic and for consolidation, and in between there is collaborative work, there's reporting back, which is a more engaging and participative learning style for the learner. And while this is being done, there's plenty of guidance and support from the teacher. It's not to say that the teacher sits back and the learner must now figure out what they need to learn. It is guided and supported by the teacher the entire time. This teaching style does require teachers to be more prepared and prepped for their lessons, but you will be rewarded with a class full of learners wanting to learn. Now remember that millennials are used to having a large amount of adult supervision, so unfortunately they have poor self-management skills. So when it comes to assignments and tasks that they need to complete, they would like more structure. They want to know exactly what is required of them. They want to know what are your expectations of them. And like all learners, they want to know when is the work due. So just keep that in mind when you are handing out assignments or worksheets or any sort of task activity, that millennials need a structured learning environment. The last point about academics that we're going to touch on is that there seems to be a common thread throughout this course that millennials feel that feedback is essential. Your learners want frequent feedback. Firstly, to help them stay on task. But more importantly, so that they know how they are doing. They don't want to read in a report at the end of the term that lets them know that their map work skills are poor. They want feedback throughout the term so that they can gauge how they are performing and make adjustments. So try and incorporate a more frequent feedback style of teaching to your learners and see if you can see the difference. Now let's look at the connection between the teacher and a millennial learner. Millennials want a close relationship with their teacher. They have this desire to bond. They would love more guidance from their teacher, both academically and emotionally. And they thrive on more personalized individual attention, which can be tricky when you have many learners in your class, but making an effort will go a long way to having a cooperative class. Take the time to get to know your learners and find out what makes them tick. And although we've seen this quote before, it is important to reinforce and keep in mind that millennials are unlike any generation we have seen before. And teachers need to understand and move forward with them.